I'm going to say something that might surprise you at first. Sex without an erection can be absolutely wonderful. I know it sounds unexpected, maybe even confusing, because everything we've been taught about intimacy tells us the opposite. Society paints this picture that real passion only happens when things are rising to the occasion, that if the performance isn't on, the moment is somehow broken. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a moment with a man where it wasn't about the physical act at all, but about the energy between you? That quiet closeness where he's holding you, where your bodies are intertwined, where every breath feels in sync. That's intimacy, and it doesn't need to look like a movie scene to be deeply moving and sensual. Because when you take away the pressure, the rush, the goal, what's left is something even more powerful: connection. You get to feel him, not the performance, but the person. You start to notice the tiny details, the warmth of his skin, the way he looks at you, the calm that fills the room when you're both just being present. Those are the moments that make a man truly feel safe with you. And ironically, those are also the moments that awaken even deeper desire later on. So today, I want to walk you through 5 reasons why sex without an erection can actually be one of the most beautiful, bonding, and sensual experiences you'll ever share with a man. Because sometimes when you stop chasing the fireworks, you discover the slow burn. And that's the kind of intimacy that doesn't just fade away when the night ends, it lingers. When there's no pressure to perform, something beautiful happens between two people. The energy changes. The atmosphere shifts from performance to presence, from expectation to exploration. Suddenly, there's no scoreboard, no standard to meet, no silent comparison running in either of your minds. It's just two humans breathing, touching, and existing in a shared moment of closeness. For many men, intimacy often comes with an invisible weight, the belief that they have to be ready every single time, that their worth or desirability depends on their body's reaction. That kind of pressure can quietly create anxiety, and anxiety, ironically, is the very thing that gets in the way of connection. It's a loop. The more a man worries about performing, the less present he becomes. He's in his head instead of his body, focused on what's not happening rather than what's unfolding. And when that happens, intimacy starts to lose its magic. But when you remove that pressure, when you show him through your action and your energy that he doesn't need to prove anything to you, something powerful unfolds. He relaxes. He exhales. The mental chatter quiets down, and suddenly the connection between you starts to feel real again. You might notice him becoming more affectionate, more playful, more open. His hands linger longer, his eyes soften, and the tension in his body melts away. It's as if he's finally able to just be, not perform, not impress, simply be present with you. And here's where you, as a woman, hold incredible power, because how you respond in that moment can either amplify the pressure or completely dissolve it. When you respond with patience, warmth, and curiosity instead of frustration or disappointment, you send him a message that speaks directly to his core. You're enough. That kind of reassurance doesn't just make him feel accepted, it makes him feel desired, respected, and emotionally safety. And emotional safety for a man is the gateway to true intimacy. You'll often find that when he senses that acceptance from you, he becomes even more attentive. He starts touching you differently, not hurriedly, not mechanically, but intentionally. Every kiss becomes slower, more deliberate. Every touch carries meaning. He's no longer focused on what should happen next. He's focused entirely on you, your reactions, your breath, your energy. And that's where real intimacy is born. It's not about whether the main act happens or not. It's about how deeply you can both connect when the pressure is gone. Because when you remove the expectation of what sex should be, you make room for what it can be. A space of discovery, laughter, softness, and genuine connection. Ironically, it's often in these slower, more vulnerable moments that the spark reignites naturally. When a man feels no judgment and no pressure, his body and mind begin to align again. His desire starts to rise from a place of peace rather than fear. And that kind of desire feels different. It's deeper, steadier, more connected to emotion than to ego. But even if nothing physical changes, that's okay. Because what truly matters is that you've built a bridge of trust between you. You've turned what could have been an awkward or insecure situation into something healing and beautiful. You've shown him that intimacy isn't defined by how hard, fast, or long something lasts. It's defined by how deeply two people allow themselves to be seen and accepted in their most vulnerable state. In that stillness, without the need to do anything, you discover the real essence of connection. presence, patience, and peace. And that's what makes sex without pressure, without performance, and yes, even without an erection, so wonderfully intimate. When intimacy shifts away from performance and into emotional connection, something incredibly special happens. Without the distraction of what's supposed to happen next, you both begin to actually see each other. The energy softens, the room feels different, and suddenly every small gesture, a glance, a breath, a simple touch feels amplified. When physical pressure disappears, what rises in its place is a level of emotional intimacy that most people never get to experience because they're too busy chasing the physical high instead of the emotional one. For a man, this kind of moment can be deeply healing. You see, men are often taught to measure intimacy through performance, to equate their physical response with their worth, their masculinity, their ability to please. So when things slow down and that response isn't the center of attention, they can feel exposed. But here's the beauty in that exposure. It's where real connection begins. When you, as a woman, meet that vulnerability with softness instead of awkwardness, with affection instead of anxiety, you create something extraordinary. You tell him, not through words, but through presence, that he doesn't need to do anything to be wanted. That your connection doesn't depend on his body doing all the work. It depends on being together. That's when the emotional walls start to fall. He begins to open up in ways he might never have before. He might talk more, laugh more, hold you differently. You'll see a version of him that's more tender, more honest, more human. And in that space, you'll feel something even stronger than passion. You'll feel closeness. Moments like these teach both of you that intimacy is more than physical pleasure. It's emotional safety. It's the ability to be imperfect and still feel completely loved. When you stroke his hair, trace your fingers over his chest, or whisper something playful in his ear without any expectation, you're not just touching his skin, you're touching his soul. You're telling him he's enough exactly as he is. And that's a message that stays with a man long after the lights go out. The beauty of these moments is that they don't need to lead anywhere. They are the destination. You might find yourself lying together, sharing quiet laughter, or even having deep conversations that you'd never have in any other moment. That emotional vulnerability builds a bond that's incredibly rare. It's the kind of intimacy that makes a man look at you differently, with a softness in his eyes that says, "You see me." And here's the secret: when you create this kind of emotional connection, physical chemistry doesn't disappear. It actually grows stronger, because now it's rooted in trust and affection, not pressure or fear. He feels safe around you, not just physically, but emotionally. And when a man feels that, his desire for you deepens in a way that's more powerful than any quick spark. This kind of closeness redefines what passion looks like. It's not about fireworks every single time. It's about a slow, warm fire that glows even after the moment has passed. When you lie there together, skin against skin, heartbeat against heartbeat, you realize that this is what intimacy was always supposed to feel like. It's not about performance. It's about presence. So when sex doesn't follow the expected script, don't rush to fill the silence, let it be. Enjoy the closeness, the laughter, the calm, because in those quiet moments of emotional intimacy, you're creating a connection that doesn't just last for one night. It builds the foundation for a love that keeps growing. And that's what makes these moments without expectation so deeply, beautifully, wonderfully human. When you take the pressure off and remove the idea that intimacy has to follow a specific routine, something magical begins to unfold. Curiosity. Suddenly, without the focus on performance or a main event, both of you start to explore in a way that feels more playful, creative, and deeply connected. It's like rediscovering the art of touch, of teasing, of being fully present in the moment. You start realizing that there are so many ways to express desire, so many ways to make someone feel wanted without relying on one predictable path. When there's no goal, your senses come alive. You start noticing the small details, the warmth of his breath near your neck, the rhythm of his heartbeat, the softness of his skin beneath your fingertips. You start to explore slowly, deliberately, without rushing. You might find yourself tracing patterns on his chest with your fingers, letting your lips wander across his shoulder, or whispering something that makes him smile. It becomes a dance, not choreographed, not rehearsed, but spontaneous and alive. That's the kind of connection that feels thrilling in a completely different way. And here's what's beautiful. When a man feels that kind of curiosity from you, it invites him to explore too. It tells him you don't have to perform, you can just enjoy. It gives him permission to be more expressive, more responsive, more adventurous. Instead of worrying about what comes next, he starts engaging with you moment by moment, reacting to your energy, your touch, your laughter. That's when real chemistry starts to build, not from pressure, but from presence. These slower, more experimental moments can actually heighten desire, because instead of chasing one destination, you're both exploring the entire map. You might discover new spots that make him shiver, new ways of kissing that drive him crazy, or new rhythms that make the connection feel completely fresh. And the best part, none of it feels forced. It's natural, intuitive, and exciting because it's born out of genuine curiosity, not expectation. When you bring this kind of energy into your intimacy, it doesn't just make the moment better, it strengthens your bond outside of it too. You start to feel like you're learning each other all over again, like you're teenagers discovering what feels good, what makes the other person smile, what creates that spark of electricity between you. It's playful, it's light-hearted, but it's also incredibly intimate because it's not about trying to get somewhere. It's about enjoying the journey together. And here's a secret most people overlook. This kind of exploration can make a man crave you more than anything else, because when he feels that you're curious about him, that you want to explore him without any pressure or agenda, it makes him feel desired in a way that goes far beyond the physical. It tells him that you're not just interested in his body, but in his reactions, his sounds, his energy. It tells him you're tuned into him, and that's intoxicating. The beauty of sensual curiosity is that it turns every touch into communication. It says, I see you, I feel you, I want to know more. It transforms intimacy from something physical into something deeply emotional and even spiritual. Every laugh, every sigh, every playful moment becomes part of a shared language that only the two of you understand. So the next time things slow down or take an unexpected turn, don't see it as an interruption, see it as an invitation to explore, to play, to connect in ways you might never have before. Let the curiosity lead you both. Because when you remove the script and let your natural energy take over, that's when you discover how powerful, passionate, and endlessly fascinating real intimacy can be. And those are the moments he'll never forget, the ones that weren't planned but felt real raw and wonderfully alive. When a man realizes that you still want him, still crave his closeness, even when things aren't going perfectly, according to plan, something deep inside him changes. His confidence begins to rebuild, not the surface level kind that's about ego or appearance, but the deeper kind that comes from being truly accepted. For most men, there's an unspoken pressure to always be ready, to always perform, to always meet certain expectations in intimacy. It's tied into how they've been raised to equate masculinity with performance. But when that performance isn't possible for a moment, and instead of judgment, he's met with warmth, understanding, and even playfulness, it's transformative. You see, in that moment, your reaction speaks volumes. If you respond with patience instead of panic, affection instead of awkwardness, and reassurance instead of rejection, you're telling him something powerful. You're still desired. You're still mine. That message doesn't just soothe his ego, it touches his soul. It tells him he's valued for who he is, not just for what he can do. And that's the kind of message that stays with him long after the night is over. Many women underestimate how vulnerable men feel in those moments. Because while women might worry about appearance, men often worry about performance. And when something interrupts that, whether it's stress, tiredness, or simple biology, they can instantly feel exposed. But when you don't make it a big deal, when you stay close, keep touching him, laughing, and showing that you still find him sexy, it removes the fear. You create a safe space where his confidence can rebuild naturally. And something fascinating happens when that pressure melts away. His desire actually returns, because desire and pressure don't mix well. When he's worried about disappointing you, his body tenses, his mind races, and his connection to the moment fades. But when you take away that stress, when he feels safe, seen, and desired, his body starts responding on its own. It's not forced, it's not mechanical, it's organic. The attraction that flows from safety is far stronger than the one born from pressure. Think about it. When you make a man feel like he doesn't need to prove anything, you free him to feel everything. He's not performing, he's connecting. He's not focused on what's working. He's focused on you, your eyes, your breath, your laughter, your warmth. And in that presence, his natural desire reignites, not because he's trying, but because he finally feels relaxed enough to let it happen. This is why confidence and desire are so connected. Desire doesn't thrive in anxiety, it thrives in acceptance. When a man feels emotionally safe, when he knows you're not keeping score, that's when he starts to open up again. That's when the chemistry returns stronger and more authentic than before. And often that moment of vulnerability becomes the spark for even deeper passion. You may notice that after such moments, he becomes more affectionate. He touches you more throughout the day. He's softer, more attentive, more loving. That's because you've reached him on a level far deeper than physical. You've made him feel emotionally secure, and that's what every man secretly craves, even if he doesn't say it out loud. So the next time things don't go as expected, remember this: how you react in that moment can turn what feels like a setback into something deeply bonding. It's not about pretending it didn't happen. It's about making sure he knows it doesn't change anything between you. Smile, stay close, keep touching him. Let him see that your desire for him isn't conditional. Because when a man feels that kind of unconditional acceptance, his confidence doesn't just come back, it soars. His desire returns, but now it's rooted in emotional safety, not performance anxiety. And that's when intimacy becomes something truly powerful, not just a physical experience, but a soulful connection that keeps him craving you over and over again. When you strip away all the expectations, the rules, and the pressure to perform, you begin to discover what real intimacy actually is. Because true closeness isn't about what happens physically. It's about what happens emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually between two people. When you take away the idea that sex has to look a certain way to be meaningful, you open the door to something far more powerful: connection without conditions. In moments when there's no performance, you start to realize that intimacy is about presence. It's about being completely there, not in your head, not focused on the outcome, but tuned into the energy between you. It's the feeling of his breath on your skin, the way your bodies fit together, the way your souls seem to speak without a single word. That's real intimacy, the kind that doesn't need to be proven, only felt. You see, many couples mistake passion for connection. They think the physical act itself is what creates closeness, but it's actually the vulnerability behind it that builds true intimacy. When there's no performance, no need to impress, you both have a chance to simply be seen. You can laugh, talk, touch, or just lie there together, and none of it feels like it's missing something. Because the focus shifts from what you're doing to how you're feeling. In those quiet, unhurried moments, you get to experience a deeper level of love, one that's not based on perfection, but on authenticity. You realize that intimacy doesn't require intensity to be meaningful. Sometimes it's the stillness that makes it so powerful. When a man feels that he can be himself with you, no mask, no pressure, that's when he starts to associate you with safety, peace, and desire all at once. And when you both share that sense of comfort and acceptance, your bond becomes unbreakable. What makes these moments so beautiful is that they remind you love isn't about performance. It's about presence. It's the way he holds you closer when you least expect it. The way you both laugh over something silly. The way you feel completely content just lying there, not needing anything more. That's what real intimacy looks like. Two people choosing to show up for each other fully, even when things don't go perfectly. So yes, sex without an erection can be wonderful, not because it's about the physical act, but because it redefines what love and connection truly mean. It's not about whether everything works. It's about whether you both feel safe, seen, and deeply connected. And when that kind of emotional intimacy becomes your foundation, everything else, the laughter, the chemistry, the desire, flows naturally from it. Because at the end of the day, real intimacy isn't something you perform, it's something you create. So ladies, the next time you find yourself in a moment where things don't go as expected, pause before you label it as a problem, because it's not. It's an invitation, a chance to slow down, to drop the pressure, and to explore a different kind of closeness, the kind that isn't about performance, but about connection, the kind where you're not focused on how things should be, but on how they feel. When you embrace those moments with warmth, patience, and curiosity, you turn what could have been an awkward experience into something deeply meaningful. You show your man that he's not just wanted for what his body can do. He's wanted for who he is, for the way he makes you feel, and for the space you both share when you're simply present together. And the truth is that kind of energy, the kind that's accepting, understanding, And playful is magnetic. It draws him closer. It makes him crave you in ways that go far beyond the physical. Because when you love a man through his vulnerability, you touch a part of him no one else ever has. So if you've ever felt unsure in moments like that, remember it's not about perfection, it's about connection. And when you choose connection, you create passion that lasts. Now tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? Let's see how many incredible women around the world are rewriting what real intimacy means.